Mr. Boat in the white and every girl a ball out photo. If you're not trouble, me not trouble you. Smoking good and me drinking good. Ask her if she good and she reply, yeah, your life feel good, I look hard right now. One time we did broke, now we can do what we want. Yeah, feeling it feel good enough. Excuse me, I'm pop my color. Do what I want, you don't follow. Tell me in my vibes, you know. I tell them we alright, you know. I'm leaving now, so the team will come. Out the crowd, do not let me out. And everyone I try to figure me out. Them all see me fight, I what you talking about. Just keep them all coming, no need the dogs. The songs I go harder where the mugger send up.
Hyper Sounds and you're listening to Triple Vibes Radio. There is nothing sweeter than Triple Vibes.
Am I good? Okay, I'll try it again. I'm good? We've had some difficulties. Are we good to go? Okay, so I guess we're good now. I'll introduce you to another episode of Code Wind Talkers brought to you through Triple Vibes Radio, Code Media Group, and this is Code Wind Talkers. I'm Darren Aquino, and this is Johnny Fratangelo, also known as Johnny Pizza. And today we had some technical difficulties. We had a lot of stuff going on. We had a special guest for you today. As you know, this show is about disabled veterans. Um, it covers healthcare, it covers general topics that we're going through in America. Um, we came together. I'm gonna give you a new history because we're going live today, folks. We're going off script. We had a special guest, a renowned physician and PhD accredited doctor. He's got many certifications, Dr. Atamanov. But I'm going to get into that, and I'm going to remind you, this show came together. This Code Wind Talkers, which you know is goes back to the Arapaho Indians, right, John? Yeah. Right, the Code Wind Talkers. Wind Talk. We borrowed part of that to put this great show together, which is going to get better as we go forward. You know, we're being in COVID right now. It's very difficult because me and Johnny aren't in the same room, and then there's a whole lot of technical things that got to be done just to bring us together to share some stories and challenges with you, the audience. So again, I'm Darren Aquino, also known as the Cricket, and this is Johnny Pizza, and we came together through The Last Goodbye. The Last Goodbye is a very heartfelt, true story about my co-host and his family and the loss of his cousin Anthony. You can see the picture right there behind him. And they were kids. They were 19 years old, and they went off to the Vietnam War. And Johnny rescued, I believe it was 3 people before he was wounded, received a Purple Heart. Purple Heart. In case you folks don't know what that looks like, this is what a Purple Heart looks like, and that's Johnny's card, and a Silver Star. Last week we had Gene Lang, another combat hero from the Vietnam era. Vietnam was a very challenging war. Johnny wrote this book about his experiences and the horrors of war. And together with Code Media Group, Carl Van Nevis III, and D-Day Sean Black, who's, you know, all are inspired by this story to make this show come to you live. You know, we see on television when the president brings somebody. Just recently, the president gave out the Congressional Medal of Honor, and you heard the story for the first time about that veteran. On any other given day, you wouldn't know jack squat about him. So this show has come together as me as an advocate and Johnny as a combat veteran to bring veteran stories to you, to bring the truth, to know about the men and women. Today, it's, you know, when Johnny served, it was all men. Only in the last decade. Well, how long is that since women have been fighting for this country as well, other than being nurses and doing their part? When were they actually start combat, Johnny?
Oh, I would think during the Iraqi war, Afghanistan.
Iraqi, right? So we want to, yeah. So we want to bring this show. Its intention is to talk about. It was this story. That's why we encourage you to go, and we're going to give you everywhere to go. You can go to the Last Goodbye book.com, and you'll see this. And anybody that wants to have their copy signed, you could reach out, and we're going to have everything set up where you could DM us, and we're going to be, you know, this is COVID. This is what COVID did to all of us. It limited us. So we are really social distancing. And I'll tell you how distant we are. He's in New York and I'm in Florida. So we want to keep safe. But this book brought us together to bring this show, which is going to talk, and going forward in other episodes, you're going to meet the men and women. We're going to start in John's time, you know, because that's for us. I mean, we all heard about Vietnam, how bad it was, all of this and that. But Johnny's going to tell you the true story. And if you want to know the true story, you want to go here. And Code Media Group and myself and John and everything that went to do the promotion of this book, to bring it to your household, to have The Last Goodbye on your table. And now we're working, and we had Dave Hallenbach with who did a mini. You can see all of this at codemediagroup.com, and it's there. And you're going to see everything. Everything. The last goodbye, as you know, you can see this on YouTube at Triple Vibes. This is Code Media. This is Code Wind Talkers, and I'm Darren Aquino, Johnny Fratangelo, and now this is why we started this show for the veterans, and it's going to go from, like I said, from Vietnam to current day, and we're going to talk about all kinds of subjects. We're going to have things in place if you're a veteran out there in crisis and you need to call in and you need some immediate things. Because as our technology comes together and we get through this crisis of COVID together, we're going to be more in line and we're going to be in the same room eventually, so that we can, have our guests, just like everybody. You see Jimmy Fallon, Kimmel, they're all doing, crazy stuff. They're going in studios and there's no people there. And Fallon is doing it from his house and doing what we're doing here. So we're going to get on with that. And we're going to have some great guests, and they're going to tell you the stories of war, past and present. And we want to move on to that. So let me tell you about the guest. And this is COVID-19, CV-19. This was a project of mine that came to me after John's book and being, you all know that I'm the National Chief Advocate for Disabled Americans, Veterans, Police, Firemen, and Families. I've been doing that since 1983. As you can see, my wall back here has got many recognitions from 4 presidents, actually 5, Obama as well, but he only acknowledged me after he was out of the administration and sent it after, we've had some electeds, sorry to say that they were limited in their support to the people they serve. But the Republican presidents have stood by the organization, supported it, and the challenges that I fight. What do I do as an advocate? I advocate services or interferences or exclusions where your disability now has thrown you out of mainstream society because of your physical limitation. I'm the guy that makes them understand that we're going to do 2 things. We're going to get you back mainstream and facilitate any warranted and needed accommodation, or we're going to go see a judge. And I'm going to be the voice with you, and I'm going to help you do that. I help you defend yourself. That's what I do. So our guest today was Michael Antomonov, a renowned surgeon, PhD. He's got so many letters after his name. He could make a whole new name. He's so accredited. And the thing why he was going to be our guest, because of COVID, that's how this magazine was birthed, from my stories and his stories. And I am one of the creators to this with Code Media Group. Dr. Mike, as we affectionately call him. I call him Chief and he calls me Chief. Why is that? Dr. Mike is the Chief Medical Officer and advisor on medical services to the organization. He also has a facility. I want you to know he will be back next week because he had an emergency surgery. He's that renowned. He blocked his schedule, but because of technical difficulties, we couldn't make that happen today. But we'll be back and everything will be correct as we're going forward. This is our 3rd show. Nobody here is a professional at television, at audio and technical. We're here bringing you a message. And the message is about veterans. It's about people. It's about sickness. It's about current topics. Today you're hearing things on television. You're hearing 2 subjects on television today: the election and COVID-19. So Dr. Mike works for the organization, and he provides those services free with us, but he also practices privately. He gives us and donates an office in the Pennsylvania office where he's located, where there's a 32-bed facility for special PTSD veterans. Johnny Pizza was ready to ask a whole slew of questions because over here, it's a great story. I mean, Dr. Mike is an incredible guy, and as you can see, as we get into it, his he was out there, and what you got to see is this, and you can see this online. Better 6 feet away than 6 feet under. Um, that was one of his commentaries, the COVID story, and the Renaissance and physicians. Dr. Mike. Dr. Mike gives you 18 pages of commentary on uh, the COVID 19, what string it is, how the effect it has. Now, some people think with this magazine, as I talk a little bit more about Mike, so that you know what is coming back, he's a renowned surgeon, doctor, uh, PhD. He also consults and talks with PTSD veterans who are in crisis, as you know, in this country. Um, and John knows as well. And a lot of the Vietnam veterans, a lot of them passed from drug addiction. That war was horrible. And after we talk a little bit more, because today we're going cold, folks. We're going off the cuff. We're going to tell you what we was going to do today. I'll talk about me. Johnny will talk about him, and then we'll talk of some general topics and about next week's coming show. And as always, thanking our supporters like Triple Vibes, Code Media Group, and and Johnny and myself. A lot of effort goes into putting this together to sit in front of you for an hour. A lot of detail goes into this, a lot of technical detail. It's easy to sit and talk and ask somebody a question about their knowledge. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to do that. But what we're bringing to you are good people with real stories that the public is not informed about. Limited information. Dr. Mike will answer questions when he comes on about the COVID. As you all know, I had COVID. Um, you could also go to my website if you're a disabled veteran or a person with a disability at www.adaadvocates.com. I know you can watch this on YouTube and you'll be able to hear this and the websites. And at the end of today's show, after Johnny and I share some new messages, you're going to get to see this wonderful magazine and the contributions that so many put into it. You're going to want to go to CV19 mag, right? .com. And you see that? Look there. You're going to go there and you're going to see the associations. And of course, if you go to my Aquino for Congress Twitter, it's there. If you go on the Facebook, you'll see it there. If you Google Darren Aquino, everything comes up. You'll see it there because and then we have Sunrise Magazine, which is another affiliate. This is a great article in here. All of this is available to you online, and of course, you can get hard copies. So, Advocates does that. We defend the right, and we intervene when there is an infringement of the freedom because of your disability. A lot of you heard about my uncle. A lot of you read on the website about the veteran that was held captive in a nursing home in the Bronx. Because this is a veteran show, and he's a little bit older than Johnny. He's about 5 years older than Johnny, so 6 foot, 77, 78. He'll be 78, or just turned 78, my uncle. He was there in 64 to 66. He didn't see the action, but, one of his jobs was after boot camp and stuff, and he was a musician. He was a musician, a trumpet player, who played with some really amazing folks. And, one of his things was every month he had to play taps for the bodies. So that's got to be overwhelming. When you're a musician, every month this is what you got for hundreds of bodies. Thousands of men died, thousands. And when they bring them back through, he would be there at the receiving for the body. So that was pretty traumatic. Musicians, regular musicians, they don't do that. You have to be, it's a special kind of guy who's a soldier, and the guys that come out, the men and today the women. I got to see that from my other uncle that passed when they gave him the final farewell. Um, to sit the way they so, um, how do I say it? What's the word? They just do it. It looks so perfect when, the men and women, they come together to say farewell to their fallen brother and honoring them, folding the flag from the taps to the flag to the handoff to the family. Um, when you see that anywhere, it gets you emotionally because you know that person at one time served this country, and we should be grateful for that. Um, so I want Johnny to talk a little bit about that as well because he was there. He's that guy. He's got that Purple Heart. That bullet hit him when he went in to rescue. I want to put him in for the congressional, but he's a modest guy. But you know what? It takes all of us. We're the ones that are supposed to be demanding the presidents and those folks responsible because I've heard other stories. If you heard Gene's story last week, Gene, it took him 40 some odd years, almost 50 years, to get his actual medal. What's wrong with that picture? Everything. As Americans, when do we want it? Now. We want it now. If they served then, they get it then. They shouldn't get it now. But because we're in a place of controversy in the country, we could never forsake our veterans. Not ever. That's why Dr. Mike and COVID magazine, you know how many veterans and stuff that are older, like John, got COVID? A lot. My uncle dodged a bullet, but my uncle, who was in the nursing home in New York City, was released on August 13th after being held captive from May 30th, 2017. Held captive. They didn't call his guardian, me, okay, for 2 years and 19 months, something like that. 18 months, like 20 months. They didn't call me for 20 months to notify me that he was there. And when I went to go get him, because what they were doing was they said he was incompetent, made him sign a document that took his benefits. They let him stay there as if he was a refugee. They treat refugees better than they treated my uncle, who is an American citizen, an Army veteran, and comes from a decent family, but they didn't call his family because here's the other thing. And we're going to talk about all of these topics. Again, just for coming in, welcome to Code Wind Talkers. Johnny Fratangelo, Darren Aquino, The Cricket, Johnny Pizza. We're bringing stories to you about our veterans, COVID-19. We're grateful to Triple Vibes, DJ Sean, who put this all together. We had some complications today. We started late. Our renowned doctor, coming giving you another recap. Our renowned doctor, Dr. Mikhail Atamanov, a renowned surgeon and PhD. Just the highlights of this show and some of our veterans who are struggling with PTSD, which is a mental effect, and the COVID virus. And that was Dr. Mike was going to talk about. So getting back to the topic of my uncle before Johnny starts to give you some things that he wants to talk and ask about, and we'll just bounce it back and forth because this show didn't go the way we wanted it to because of technical difficulties. Life happens. This is life during the new COVID situation and what's going on around the country. So my uncle did not, they did not want to release my uncle when I went to get him. They said there's a couple of things that'll work out if I would wait past the weekend. Here's what they did, and for all of you listeners, my uncle Fernando Goud was at Riverdale Nursing Home, and they changed his proxy so that he couldn't leave, so that they were double billing. This is important because you're taxpayers. We're taxpayers. We pay taxes, and we invest in the American people, and we take care of our veterans. But when you abuse those resources, and we think at any time that when you need it or there's controversy about Medicare and Medicaid, well, this is why. As an advocate, this is what I do. I research that for the needs of people who are entitled who don't get it, because facilities like this, I got the bills. They're billed for services that were not provided. They provided it once, but billed for it like 29 days more. They see them one day a month, but they build them every day, 25 minutes. A doctor put down, and this is going to come out. You're going to see this, and you're going to hear this, and you're going to hear it from me because this is what I do for guys like Johnny who serve this country and get pushed to the wayside. And then when all the fraud and all of the medical billing happens, everybody goes, how come the fund is exhausted? From places that are not honorable, that think that while other controversies going on, they could slip in some extra bills on your dime, my dime, Johnny's dime. We're going to stop that. This election, every time we have an election, it's about us. So when we got this controversy, Doc was going to give you the medical perspective. I was going to give you the advocate's perspective. And this is why, like my uncle was held captive for an additional 14 months. I picked him up on October 13th, and we got ready to do our first broadcast. So you're going to hear more stories like that. And then we're going to get folks on this show who are responsible for that. They're going to jump in there, and you're going to hear them. And you're going to hear them, and we're going to put them in the hot seat. Johnny's going to grill them, and I'm going to grill them. And you, as soon as we're set up with more things, you're going to call in. You're going to get them. This is going to be the real deal. This is Code Wind Talkers. I'm Darren. This is Johnny Pizza. So now I want Johnny to give some questions. I told you about the organization. I told you about my uncle. We talked about our guest who couldn't be here because of the time slot that got with the technical issues. And Johnny's got some good stories. You know, he's a combat veteran. I think the gardener needs to come over to Johnny's house because I see some bushes growing around him. I think it must be growing through the window.
I took the jungle home with me.
It looks that way. You're keeping it very close, I see. Yeah. You're hiding in the brush, or are you hiding from the audience?
Yeah.
Are you? Yeah. Tell the truth. Okay, so let me turn it over to my co-host and honorable serviceman, and thank you for your service to this nation. We thank you and appreciate you. And I know you got some questions about the organization so that the viewers can hear. And we also want to talk about the film. I'll come back to talk about the film we're going to do and anything else. Go ahead. I'm ready.
Well, I'll tell you, I was disappointed with the Dr. Michael not being here because I really think he can enlighten us a lot of things. I wanted to ask him, guys like me who work with our hands all our lives, I can go into a room or any other contract and go into an empty room and visualize what the people want. And from an emptiness
as a contract,
yes, to a completed project that wasn't there and it's there now, and we did that. But guys like Dr. McHale, who are scientists and researchers, they got to work with invisible particles that you can't be seen with the naked eye, only through a microscope. And I want to know how do they start when a new disease comes about? How do they get in their laboratories and know where to begin? There's something that's unknown and it's invisible. And where do they go?
To guys like laymen like us? Yeah,
these guys are geniuses, and I just can't fathom how they could come up with something, especially so quickly as the way they did, out of not knowing anything about.
Well, the president put that warp speed thing, and I mean, this is the fastest in history.
Exactly.
The fastest in the history, and we've had serious viruses that Dr. Mike, because you're on him, Dr. Mike, I even too, I had COVID, okay? And while they were developing it, it's a good question, and I could actually answer because one of the doctors, including Dr. Mike, my friend Julie, she worked with me on the campaign when I campaigned for mayor, and that's how I met. She's Russian. Her parents are rocket scientists. They live in Virginia, and they contribute here to rocket science. They're very smart, and she's, doorways are open to her to meet other people of that intellect. You know what I mean? We're two guys from the Bronx. We'll tell you anything about Italian food. We'll tell you anything about Italian culture. But when it comes to medical science, I can't even fathom where to start. I don't even know what question to ask. When we go to a doctor, it's like, tell me what's wrong with me. We don't even know what to ask about it. So when I was here, Julie heard that I had it because there was a newspaper article because of the campaign. Um, it came right out, on the internet. Everybody was saying the candidate from Florida, Southwest Florida's 19th district, Darren Aquino, tested positive for COVID. And there are some pictures of me online sitting right here in this corner with tea covered, could hardly speak. Um, every time I spoke, I I had a gasp for breath. Um, I get this call from the doctor because he was working in the Pentagon. I'm not going to say his name, so I just got in my phone Pentagon. I would text Dr. Mike. I'd send him what he was sending me. He was sending me what I'm going to do. I said, what? He says, don't talk. Save your energy. You're right now in the middle of it. He asked me, talk to me, because Julie told him everything. He had a heart condition. He was a kid. You got to help him. She was so upset. We're very good friends. You know what I mean? She was like basically crying to this doctor. He called me immediately. But walked out. He tried to call me from inside the Pentagon because he was working with other doctors on this thing. He's a brilliant guy. Um, he gave me some ideas. Now people are laughing, but he told me how the virus moved. He asked me what was going on, and then I explained, and he tells me how it attacked. Dr. Mike confirmed. Okay, he says when the virus, that's why the spittle that comes, it goes, it gets if it gets on you, it's like okay, uh, uh, it's a germ. It's like that flesh eating thing. Once it touches you, it starts to go. This is the same thing, but it's the invisible killer. It works its way because it's like when you see under the microscope, you see those things going like that. Everything's moving. Well, just because you don't see it doesn't mean it's not there. It's so minute you can't. But that's why it takes like 2 weeks. People feel it 2 weeks later. It starts out because imagine it's this little tiny thing that's got to work its way. Imagine the baby steps that's got to take. You know what I'm saying? So it works its way. He says it goes into your cavity, and then it starts to, take over, and then it works its way down your throat because it's going to an area. It's traveling to get to your lung. It is headed. It has a direction. It's got MapQuest, and its destination is your lung, and some other people. So the underlying conditions where the immunity is what's going to be attacked because it can, it won't be killed off by the antibodies because this is a stranger. This is like, you used to see those things on television where they'd be in a movie and they show you them inside somebody's system and you see them going when they made them tiny people inside of somebody's body. Well, figure a real virus doing that. And it was going there. My throat was on fire. On fire. Not like a regular sore throat. This one had a burning to it. This was like, this is like drinking a bad poisonous scotch, right? You get that little burn in there that stayed like that constantly. And you feel it. You feel it like from your nose, you can feel it. You know what I mean? That it would bother your eyes. So as it's going, he's telling me, and the taste, when did that go? He asked me, he tracked me. He made me give him a whole routine of where I was, when was my first sign, and then he could tell me where I am. So these guys are brilliant because they follow the sickness. They follow this bacteria. And Michael, I call him Chief Mike, he tells me, and the Pentagon doctor told me, okay, he said, I want you to get excited, he says. Tell me again, are you on anticoagulants? Because I had rheumatic fever as a kid. I had told folks. So if anybody's listening now, this is Code Wind Talkers, Johnny Pizza, Darren the Cricket. We're talking live, coming to you from Triple Vibe Radio, sharing something about the COVID the bacteria, the vaccine that's coming. We were supposed to have a guest. I'm answering Johnny's question.